So, us four here are huge Canucks fans, and this would not be a hockey pod without our year-end review. So, I mean, optimistically at the start of the season, this would have been our playoff preview pod. But seeing as how the season has gone, I think this is a good place to start and just maybe ask the three of you collectively, what went wrong?
Okay, I'm going to go first with this one. Okay, I mean, there's so many avenues you can go down for what went wrong, but I do believe that there's so many ways you can get to winning, but a very good one is to have a good start, obviously. Yeah. So I feel like we didn't have a good start, and I attribute so much of that just to the fact that Demko wasn't there. Like we were talking about before about Vasilevsky, Hellebuck. Demko isn't them because of his injury history, and he hasn't like proven it. But I do think he is in that like upper echelon of goaltending. Yeah. So maybe not those guys, but he's that next level. He's that where you're talking about him. So just to not have that as the backbone of your team, I don't care how good your team is, it will affect your team. So if I could say where did it start going wrong, I'm going to say the fact that we didn't have Demko to start the season is going to always be a thing.
I think injuries obviously play a bit of a factor all around, Demko being the biggest one. I mean, not having a starting goalie who was like runner-up Vezina the year before is like massive blow. And Lankinen did so well, especially in the first half of the year. But like watching Seelovs in those starts was hard to watch, and you just knew if that was a Demko-Lankinen combo, we would have probably pulled out a couple of those wins, which is the difference at the end of the day, on top of just not having Demko for like 75% of the season. That just hurt us so much. And other guys, I mean, Joshua missing a good chunk of the start. Besser got concussed early on. PD missed a large chunk. JT was absent / missing time.
Hughes got hurt.
Hughes got hurt a couple times, missing time. Hedl at the end. Again, I think I saw second or third in the league in man games missed. So, obviously that plays a factor. And that was such a good thing for us the year before, right? We got so lucky. Nobody got hurt, and that was a huge part of it.
So one thing that bothers me across sport is when people are hard on a team when their best player goes down injured, and they're like, see, they're not as good without their best player. And you're like, yeah. Clearly.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, backbone of the team is a big part of our success the year before was obviously Demko. And not having that, I mean, you were never going to have the same season you had the year before without him. It was just impossible.
Ironically, it's actually why I think Toronto might win this year, because they lost Matthews for 20 games.
Yeah.
And they were still at the top of that division.
Again, a great goaltending tandem that was healthy and neither really missed any time. And when one did miss a few games, they had the other. It wasn't like Demko missed a week and then you had Lankinen to play 3 games. It was like Demko missed 3 months.
Yeah.
And Lankinen had to play more hockey than he ever had in his entire career in a season. So it was a lot to ask. And you could see it in him. Second half of the year, it wasn't the same guy. But yeah, I think other than that, I mean, the other one for me is we did also have lackluster performances from top players not named Quinn Hughes. And even Hronik. I thought he played well. But more the forward group. Garland played well, but he played average, 50-point Garland. Nothing to complain about. But
I was happy for him because I feel like pre-JT, Garland was he was just not on the radar, but he did all the things good. He worked hard. He's just fun to watch even.
Yeah.
But where he stacked up on our team, he was just kind of that. If there's a line where you're visible to the media and everything, he's below that. And then by JT leaving, it boosted it. So now Garland's in the spotlight more, so I'm happy for him.
Yeah, it was nice to see him get some power play time and stuff like that. But yeah, I just think PD, even with the injuries, he still was having a bad year. Besser, even with the injuries, was still having a bad year in compared to the year before. Miller was the same thing before his absence. Everyone was underperforming at the top end. Outside of Jake DeBrusk was actually playing exactly how he should be.
Yeah.
Well, that was my fear. I think I told all 4 of you before the pod. I listened back to our first pod at the start of the season, and my fear for the group was that our forward depth just wasn't strong enough, and 1 or 2 losses to our top guys just we don't have the insulation to make up that offense. That's what, and I think that's what kind of came to fruition when Hughes was gone. We didn't have any drivers of offense. Like theoretically, Petey should have been that person, and he just wasn't. And I think it was just, apart from Quinn having one of the all-time Canucks defenseman seasons, it was just such a mess from our forward group to try to get consistent offense on a regular basis. Like we would have stretches where we looked so good, and then we'd have stretches where it could be awesome if we scored 2 goals.
I feel like if you followed all our group chat talking about the Canucks, you would always see this like ongoing disappointment followed up by like, you're like, yo, we can't score. And then someone would like have a breakout game where you're like, oh, it's turning around. But that was it. That like one game where you'd say that. And then it just like continue on with the like disappointment into the next. Oh, there, it's turning around. What do you feel, Gabe?
Just media drama, I guess. It feels like the whole season we've just been left, right, and center of just headline after headline and just so much JT, just so much PD talk and Besser talk, and it felt more extra than usual. And it's
it's almost even for a Canadian team.
Yeah.
It did feel like reminding me of like when Ottawa was just like a tire fire a few years back.
Yeah.
When they were like trading everyone out and there was like the weird drama going on in their locker room. It felt kind of like that level of tire fire.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, oh man, it just keeps burning and it just keeps getting worse and worse. There's just something after another.
The year started so nice too with like the whole Hughes storyline of him becoming the best in the NHL, like heads returning, and then it just just came to a crash.
Well, it didn't help that our highest paid player turned into a black hole in offense. Apart from the drama aside, so let's just remove the whole JT and PE drama. That was like in and of itself just torpedoed our season as soon as that broke. Like that we weren't going to go do anything if our 2 best forward players couldn't get along, right?
Yeah, and there was no like story of JT leaving and it like inspired PD.
Yeah, and then the things that came out with PD after, how he wasn't shooting, he wasn't skating the same, and then I don't know if you heard this, that he doesn't get along with the Sedins. Like, who doesn't get along with the Sedins? And then Rutherford last week basically not directly saying it, but basically saying PD doesn't really train in the off season. Like one of the things he said was that not directly. He said he hopes that he comes into the season prepared next year.
I've got the vibe. Taki kind of hinted at it too, that he needs to come more prepared, as he said, into the coming out of the off season. Basically saying
that he basically goes home and parties with his friends. Or like has fun.
Yeah, I don't think he at least takes it to the point of like, even Hughes goes and has fun at the lake house, but he's built like this entire crazy setup in the lake house where he basically trains still like 8 hours a day. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he has fun, but he also, him and his brothers literally have like this insane training facility in the house.
Yeah. Well, with his new contract, he should be able to afford a new.
You would assume he could afford a lot of gyms if he wanted.
Yeah, and then he can't handle media, and I get.
That's fair.
Our media's hard.
And that's fine. I don't even hate that. I mean, the Sedins weren't exactly good with media either, right? But like,
I don't know. I just feel like if you're playing in the NHL, it seems impossible to me that you're not in peak physical condition.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. I just don't. I really don't get that.
I feel so.
There's worries.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying you have to be. I'm not saying like everyone is, that's good. I'm just saying it doesn't make sense to me because it's your job and you're getting paid so much money that like even the thought of you not being fully fit to do your job, just that seems crazy to me.
I mean, short of just even his play, I think so much went wrong with just PD. You can't have your best forward, theoretically, your best forward, have that much noise around him. It's just not a recipe for success.
Can I say what I witnessed? I got to see PD 4 times live this year. 3 times in games, 1 time in the practice Gabe brought us to. And in all 4 times I saw him do the exact same thing. And this wasn't in game. This was either everyone had left the ice and it was him and Garland and a defenseman left on the ice before the game, post warm up. Or at practice, once the one Gabe brought us to, everyone had left minus him and Garland and a trainer. And they had it set up so that Petey and Garland were both on the two or like the top of the face-off circles. And then there was the defenseman was at the top of the blue line. So it was like a diamond. And the drill was basically they were just firing it back and forth around that diamond. And then between Petey and Garland, at some time they would one-time it. But it was very heavily weighted to Petey shooting the puck. So you'd see Garland shoot it, but it wasn't as often. And again, like just picture the whole drill. It just looked like they were just like, the puck was just like back and forth, like sporadically. And then they'd shoot it, right? And I couldn't help but notice, I swear to God, I think I saw Petey hit the net twice in 4 outings of it. And the shots that were missing were so poor and just, in my opinion, looked so uninterested. And if you look at when in our Facebook chat, there's just this kind of point where I started, WhatsApp chat, I kind of turned on Petey. And it was after witnessing this where I was like, yo, like I've watched enough really good hockey players play hockey over, like we all have, not like just me.
Yeah.
And I've never seen someone that's supposed to be as good as he is look so as disinterested and with it, bringing such a poor like shooting performance. I don't know how to explain it other than you. If you'd seen it, you'd be like, "What the fuck was that?"
Low effort,
and it was consistent.
Even just from watching him on screen mostly all year. I think I went to like one game. It was pretty obvious. Like, I don't know, there was even spurts where it felt like the opposite, and it was funny how sometimes it would coincide with like JT went on a leave of absence, and then PD went on like a 14 points in 10 game spurt on that away trip or whatever, and he was like actively looked like good again and was making sick plays, and then like he went on a cold streak again, and then all of a sudden he kind of came back with that like Toronto game, remember, and he like went on a bit of a streak again, and then he kind of went silent again, and then he came back kind of right before he got injured.
Right.
It was super annoying. It was like completely like 3 points in 8 games and looked completely disinterested and just wasn't throwing a check even or even trying to like do anything outside of mildly back check. Yeah. And then he would come on for 5-7 games and you felt like, oh, here we go, like he's coming back. And then back to where he was again, and it just felt like the biggest ups and downs ever of watching like a star player in Canucks history. Super frustrating.
I don't want to harp on like myself. I've just spoken to Petey, so you guys can speak your points, but I don't want to harp too much on him. But so I'm just going to leave it at this for the rest of this pod. Is like I'm trying to not judge Petey too hard on this season. I think I clearly have a lot of feelings towards him that are negative. But I'm judging him on what happens next season because I've written off this season. So once JT got traded, whatever happened, I was like, whatever. I'm not going to care too much. It's what happens next.
How he responds to it.
Yeah. Like next year is massive for him.
Yeah. And
absolutely massive.
Not that I'm voicing my opinion on this, but I know a fear around a large majority of Canucks fans and Canucks media is that obviously by July 1st, something big happens with his contract, right? The no trade clause kicks in. So there's like sort of 2 streams where we just say, hey, you know, we've signed this marriage contract. We're in it for the long haul with this guy. We just have to hope that the $13.6 million that we're paying him, or $11.6 million we're paying him is going to be what he's actually worth and what he shows as a player, not sitting there and going, hey, do we have to figure out whether we actually want to just trade this person now? Because beyond that, we don't have an out. Yeah. Like, we're just stuck with him.
I will say, from what I've seen in more recent years, though, like, you'll still be able to trade him. Like, everyone's still going to want to buy on that potential. Like, if it's like as soon as, say, halfway through next year and the no trade is kicked in and we're already shopping him, like, someone will take a flyer on him. Just because of what he could be. And I know we want to harp on him and the year's been terrible, but like we're still talking about a guy that was point per game for like 7 straight years and had 100 points a year before. Yeah,
that's fair.
And he's 27. Like,
I think New Jersey
he's a center.
Would be a great partner.
He's a really good defensive center too, even if his point totals are, like, you know what I mean? Like, as much as you want to shit on him, like there is a team out there that will still give you a player, a first round pick, and a top prospect.
I just don't think,
even with the no trade.
And
he'll waive it Vancouver media will drive him absolutely nuts. He'll waive the no trade.
I just think if we get past no trade, and let's just say hypothetically he plays exactly the same way he does this season, I don't know if we actually move him because the return would almost just be, why would we do this when we kind of just have to bank on the potential?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there's not an out, like let's just say he was just this bad next year. We can't just be like, oh, let's move him, because we're not going to get the same return as what this $11.6
before
million.
the no trade. I think the return.
I'm not saying we should
I
trade
think the
him.
return will be not that different 6 months after the no trade than before the no trade. You'll have a little less suitors, but at the end of the day, I think at the end of the people will be worried. Oh, he chooses his fate. Again, if he's that introverted, hates the media, he's just gonna want out.
Do you think Petey wants? Okay. I don't want to say. Do you think Petey wants out? I'm not he hasn't stated that, so he doesn't.
I don't think so.
Do you think?
I don't
do you think
he's
in love with being here?
I think he wants to be here.
I think he wants to be here,
Okay.
but give it one more year of poor production, and that'll change real quick.
One more year of media negativity.
One more year of poor production followed by a lot of media negativity will turn that super south.
So, not to mention, it feels like what went wrong is just Petey. So I'm not saying that, but I think another thing is just a big part, right? So obviously JT, but I think we talked about the JT Petey thing at length in the midseason pod, right when JT got traded. I think a huge thing too is our forward core basically forgetting how to generate offense. I mean, yeah, Petey was not Petey, but having one person not play up to standard shouldn't just torpedo your offense. And as much as I love him, I think part of it too has to fall on Tuckett's shoulders. I think there's some times where he didn't want to change anything, or he was too stuck in playing one type of way.
Yeah.
Where, hey, great, it's great to play the type of defense that you want us to play, but if we're not scoring at all, we can't get back into games. We have to sometimes just feel like we have to open up. I don't know if anybody else caught on to that at all.
Yeah, we had to be winning as opposed to get back into a game.
Part of me struggles sometimes wondering if it was just a talent issue. And again, that's more of a GM issue, not building a solid enough roster around him, or part of a deployment issue, stacking a line as often as he should have maybe early on, just being why wasn't just Petey with DeBrusk and Besser a lot more often when you just need to score goals. That should be something you should do instead of rolling three lines in a third period where you're down by 2.
I feel like
sometimes he reminds me a lot of Brandon Moore. I've said this multiple times, I think, on these podcasts, but it's a stubbornness to his coaching. And I think when the right roster is built around it, it's a perennial playoff team that could win a cup, but it's not the sexiest hockey. And it's definitely when your stars or there's drama or injury, everything goes south quickly, I think, in that kind of situation, because you don't have a lot of star talent.
We do have the bottom 6 for it now.
I think we have depth.
Well.
I mean, that's my personal belief is depth and defense is the only two things you can count on with this team right now. We need star score. It's star talent.
We need a first-line player.
Yeah, I don't know how that happens, but man, if we could swing for Barzell or Larkin or something of that caliber.
And I think we're just one winger. We're one winger away too.
Yeah.
Just one more winger. Because I look at all the teams that are contending, that every single team's top 6, let alone their third line. Let's just say Vanderslee, the third line. But their top 6 and their third lines are all solid.
Okay, well,
top to bottom.
Let's take I was just thinking this as we were speaking. A positive spin on everything is by the end of the season, an injured Quinn Hughes was your best offensive production. It was really lifting everyone, and you just had terrible offense specifically from your best offensive player, and we barely missed the playoffs, which isn't a bad place to be, assuming that this was an anomaly. You would take Quinn Hughes regressing a bit in terms of a defenseman to give Petey back his offensive potential.
An anomaly,
right?
You say?
Okay.
All right. So I did a little research for this pod. So I'm going to read you Canucks point totals and finishes since we lost in the Stanley Cup Finals in 2011. Okay. So 11-12, 111 points, lost in the second round. 12-13, 59 points, lockout season, lost in the second round. 13-14, 83, missed playoffs completely. 14-15, 101, lost in the first round. 15-16, 75 points, missed the playoffs.
Ooh, this is going to be a rough
16-17, 69 points, missed the playoffs. 17-18, 73 points, missed the playoffs. 18-19, 81 points, missed the playoffs. 19-20, 78 points, COVID season, lost in the second round, but that's a fluke.
And that was Demko being a beast.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Vegas won everything, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
2021, 50 points, missed the playoffs. 21-22, 92 points, missed the playoffs. 22-23, 83 points, missed the playoffs. Last year, 109, losing the first round. This year, 90 points, missed the playoffs.
Lost in the second round.
Sorry, lost in the second round.
That's a high point.
Give us some credibility.
So when you say this is the anomaly, you could kind of argue that last year was the anomaly.
Well, you could also say I'm a strong believer in next year's going to look something like a blend of the last 2 years.
Sorry. Can I just say what I was referring to as anomaly was I was referencing more you assume your offense is going to be better than your defense in terms of point production. I wasn't referencing the Canucks when I said anomaly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, fair point. I'm just saying that's what I was referencing.
He was prepared for that word.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I think, because obviously I believed in the Canucks enough to buy season tickets this year, right? I was disappointed because I really wanted to see playoff hockey, right? Yeah. I just think that sometimes we have to temper expectations, and I think we did a little bit. It's just when I look at our team, I like to be hard on the teams that I follow because I want to cheer for a team realistically. Where I see a team, I'm like, oh, this team can win like a title, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And the glaring hole for me was that if one or two things went wrong, we didn't have the insulation to manage that.
I will say that's true, but I feel like it wasn't just one or two things. It was like 7 or 8.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, that's like my one argument on being like, I'm a pretty optimistic Canucks fan. I think we all know that. But like, I will say this year was like think of you and I know the whole league well enough to know that like who else had it worse than us this year.
I mean,
like as far as just luck.
Buffalo.
Luck. Like just pure like no, yeah. The season went to shit because
Buffalo.
Buffalo is shit. I'm talking purely just on like think of like luck, like drama that shouldn't happen, injuries.
New York, I'd say New York.
But that's
but even
self-induced,
injuries though. What injuries did they have?
That's true. Yeah.
No one got hurt. They just sucked. Like, you know what I mean? There's a difference between sucking and just like nothing goes your way.
New Jersey injury wise.
Yeah, New Jersey would be up there with me. But like, you know what I mean? Like they're also were pegged to be really good this year. So like they just squeaked in barely.
Barely.
So like as far as like if you just think of like how everything did go wrong, it wasn't just one or two things. It was 6, 7, or 8 things. Like I would give us that credibility in the sense of like it shouldn't be this unlucky bad next year. And we're not going to get as lucky as we did the year before. So imagine something more in the middle. Like, are we maybe a 99-point team that's a second or first wild card team next year? Like, I can see that. Just Demko being healthy probably makes that happen.
I fair points on your behalf on like why Canucks will be better, but I do agree with you in terms of I feel like we got to be hard on them because if you're hard on your team, like in terms of what you expect, that's how you have to win.
Yeah.
Like it's not a thing of like you're being hard on them because you're like, fuck them. You're just like, no, this is like objectively what winning looks like in terms of like, I don't know, either statistics or just player personnel, all that stuff. And so I don't know. I do agree with you. I feel like it's just kind of like if you look at it objectively outside of as a Canucks fan. So yeah, I feel like I do get what you're saying just about kind of like the expectations. I'm gonna just bring this up. I feel like it's really hard to win in a Canadian city. I'm not gonna go super in depth because I've talked about it, I'm pretty sure in the last 2 podcasts, but I think it is just very hard to win in a Canadian city because of all the like chatter that comes with trying to win here.
The thing for me with this team specifically that I struggle with going to next season that I'm really scared of is going into this year, we had our top 6 was on paper really solid, right? We had JT Miller, we had Elias Pettersson, we had Brock Besser, we had Connor Garland, right? We had Niels Höglander, Jake DeBrusk. We looked like a team that we were just going to carry a pretty decent forward core. We've obviously lost JT. Besser's gone. Like, I think the writing is on the wall. He's gone, right? Our top line center to end the year, obviously with PD being hurt, was Pia Sutter, who was awesome. But that is not a number 1 center in the league.
Not at all.
you look at the free agency crop this year for the forwards specifically, and it's really scary about like where are we going to replace.
It's going to be trade. It can't be through.
Because we only have $16.9 million in cap.
Yeah,
I looked it up.
I thought we had way more.
No, it's because we signed Marcus Patterson. And then we re-signed Blanketon.
Honestly, I'll take that. I'll take Patterson.
They're solid pieces.
Yeah.
So like this is the free agent crop this year, right? So John Tavares. Yeah. He's not going anywhere.
I don't want him either.
Mitchell Marner.
Mitchell Marner. Who calls him that?
Jamie Benn.
Never heard that.
Right? Jamie Benn. There's Brock, but he's not coming back.
Yeah.
Claude Giroux, Brad
Brock's
Marchand.
not coming back for sure.
Yeah,
He's not coming back.
Claude would be an interesting.
I'm happy about that.
I don't want us to like look at a holdover either. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Tavares,
Future.
Giroux. Like, yeah, I don't want an old holdover type. I want like it has to be someone that can actually like grow / contribute for years to come.
And there's Taylor
But
Hall,
Giroux could be like a nice little mentor repeat.
Brock Nelson, Nicholas Ehlers. There's Riley Smith, Sam Bennett, Patrick Kane. Like once you get past the top half of the players, it's a really, really.
I'm really hoping management
Then-
goes through trade because free agency sucks this year. Oh, Ehlers is the only guy I have any interest
Yeah, I was gonna
in.
say I like.
I would throw
Ehlers.
money at
His number though is like got like a I don't.
I also
want
wouldn't be opposed to Marner, but I think for us to get
We're not getting
throw
Marner.
money at the wall.
We don't
yeah,
see
it
the
would be
reason why
ridiculous.
I don't think it's not that I don't think we could get him. We couldn't get him. It's that he's going to command so much of the
Yeah,
cap.
that's the
We still
thing.
have Demko and we still have Quinn. Like
Yeah.
whatever we do, it has to be focused on Quinn staying, which is why like Rutherford's comments this week was just so alarming.
What did he say?
Did you hear about this?
No, because
Connor Gabe.
I just got to say this. My opinion is to whatever gets Quinn to stay. If I'm the GMs, I just walk up to Quinn and be like, "What do you think we should do to get you to resign?" Like
So-
that's where I'm at.
I mean,
Blank
that's-
checkbook.
Yeah.
He basically said it was really dumb, but I don't even know if it was any real thing behind it, honestly. I think it was just an old man having a moment. He basically was like, yeah,
Many of
Quinn
those these
obviously
days.
wants to play with his brothers, so maybe we could look at, like, getting them here somehow someday or something. And then right away he was like, oops, I shouldn't say that.
then
That
he
might be
said-
tampering. And
But
then
he also
literally-
said like it's out of my control.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like so everyone sat there and was like, "What do we do? Like what are we
He
doing?"
basically alluded to the fact that, like, but at the same time, it's
New
like,
Jersey's not going to trade Jack Hughes and his
no, but
brother.
keep in mind, again, I think people are overthinking the shit out of this, in my opinion. It's just like someone pointing out the obvious, which is like, yeah, Quinn would like to play with his brothers one day, so maybe we could look at getting them someday. And then again, he was like, oops, I can't say that. That's tampering. I thought that was funny.
I just think it
Can't
just
say
puts-
that. That's tampering. And then the league came out the next day and like, we're letting it go. But like, technically, that's tampering.
I just think it puts pressure on next year in the sense of
Already was pressure. I mean, we've all been thinking this for 5 years. You just said it. I mean, it's, like, we're not idiots. Like, they're
Rutherford's
brothers.
been really good about that. He
some
says
people
things
say
that
it's
are
too-
inflammatory,
it's
but they're always
transparent.
they're transparent.
And people
It's not
got
like-
mad at that because, like, on one hand, you should hold your cards close to your chest, but the other hand, like, we've also hated people that have done that. So it's like, what is to do? Like, Jim was the opposite. Benning was the opposite of that, right?
Like
Everyone
Rutherford
was so
said, there
annoyed
was
knowing-
issues between Quinn and JT, and then it was probably we weren't going to get a good return, and then JT went for not the best return, and it's like he just said the truth, but everyone didn't like him for saying the truth.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't think it was the best thing to say at any point, but it was just kind of like we all knew it moment. And I don't know. It was just stirred up, obviously, a bunch of
because
controversy.
if we suck next year, let's just say hypothetically, like we put up 90 points again and we just missed the playoffs. It's like I guess we don't suck, but not to where we want to be. That's when I start to get nervous about Quinn.
Yeah.
Not that I don't think that he's all of a sudden going to leave, but he's going to be 26 the year after next year. And he's going to be at a point where he's never contended for anything.
Not even close.
The nice thing with Quinn, at least, is I do strongly believe if that was the case, he would give us the heads up. And
It's like,
be
I'm not staying.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Quinn is just such a nice, honest, loyal person that like he's like, if Matt Kachuk was willing to do it, Quinn Hughes is going to do it. He's going to give them the heads up and allow us to get the best return possible. Again, if that's only if things go south next year, in my opinion, I'd have to I think it also has to go pretty south because I think he's an ultra loyal guy.
If Quinn Hughes leaves,
he also
the
likes
Canucks,
being captain, and then sometimes I wonder if he would even like playing with his brothers, and the fact that it would be like a spotlight issue.
being a captain has to be a big draw to stay.
Yeah,
but
also,
if
he
Quinn
goes from
Hughes
being
left,
known as maybe the
if
best
Quinn-
player in the league to like just one of the brothers.
But if Quinn Hughes left and it wasn't deemed because he was I'm leaving, we fucked it up, which I think would be the real reason he leaves.
Yeah.
It would really tarnish my feelings towards the Canucks. I still watch them every year. I just don't think I could support them the same because I'd be like, how's that possible?
No. If that all goes wrong and he leaves, I just want
It'd just
full
be hard.
rebuild.
We need
and
to.
It
need
has
to.
to be
hard,
stripped
dude.
down, and I am also probably not going to really pay attention for a couple.
How would you? Sorry,
Probably
last
won't
thing.
happen.
Yeah.
But think of this: how would you feel about Quinn Hughes leaves, and then we have to go back into rebuild, and you're like, but we got the best defense, arguably the best defenseman in recent history, and we have to go into rebuild again. Like how? I can't have faith in that.
We would need to. And I think we'd have to commit because Linden left the team in 2018. This core has been together intact basically since 2020, right? They've been together earlier, but Demko wasn't really part of the core yet.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until really 2020 when JT, Demko, Hughes, and PD were the core, right? This is what we're going to move forward with. Out of those four, Demko, obviously, for the past year and a half has been not really part of the team, right? He's been hurt. Quinn's still around. JT's gone. We've already talked about PD. And at some point, if we kind of sit here and we're now 8 of the last 9 seasons miss the playoffs, right? Next year, we would have to commit to something.
Is that 8 of 9?
It would be 8 of 9 seasons. So it would basically just sitting there going, we need to change something. And at some point, it's we've retooled now, basically since 2014, 2015, whenever it was that random run when we played the Flames in the first round. We have to just commit to something.
We went from back-to-back President's Trophy winners that lost in Game 7 of the final. Arguably, I'm pretty sure one of our 2 teams that was arguably one of the best teams in NHL history, at least up to that point. I'm sure the Tampa Bay Lightning have blown that out of the water now. But there was a point we were statistically and all that stuff.
Yeah, post-lockout for sure.
We went from President's Trophy winner with all the stats, lost in Game 7, to next year's President's Trophy was losing to LA in the first round, who won the Stanley Cup. It just hurts to hear. It just hurts to hear that.
It does, because I think if we had pressed the rebuild when Linden wanted it in 2018, part of me kind of goes, would we have a better core around Quinn at this point?
Would we have Quinn though?
We would, because we drafted him in 2018.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
Yeah, that summer of 2018. Would we have a better core around
At that point, we didn't.
Should have listened.
We wouldn't know.
We
Hindsight's
suffered
2020.
We
more.
didn't know Quinn was also the
Yeah,
generation.
yeah.
We shouldn't have got Quinn
Yeah.
also. He was shouldn't he have gone? We got him 8th, and he should have gone 5th to
Yeah, he was
Detroit or
supposed
something.
to go 4 or 5.
What did
8,
Detroit?
6.
Who did Detroit take?
Zadina, who's
Zadina.
no longer in the league.
Pavel Zadina. With a name like that, how can you not draft him?
I'm pretty sure, I'm almost certain that's the draft that Dallas built their core off of.
White John, or no,
Robertson,
Robertson, Hintz.
Hintz, and Ottinger.
Yeah,
all in the same draft.
Damn.
Yeah, LA has done what we should have done, and they still managed to keep Kopitar and Doughty.
Yeah, and LA looks good now. They're just defensively super solid.
Yeah,
Quentin Byfield looks like he's gonna be a guy.
Brad Clark looks solid.
Brad Clark looks great.
Yeah. They're all
Even some of their-
all higher picks too, right?
Yeah, even some of their younger guys like Jordan Spence looks like he's gonna be pretty decent. It's just I don't know. It's tough to watch some of these teams that are our peers. Obviously, San Jose is super lagging behind. But even then, could you not see San Jose making a leap in the next 2 to 3 years? Yeah. Right? It's just, I don't know, this team is so fun when we have everybody rolling. It's just, this year was, and the year before last year, when it's bad, it's really bad.
Yeah.
I think, again, I said it earlier, I want to give, after the JT Miller stuff, we can all agree, that was such irregular drama for a sports team. Like, there's always drama in sports teams, but it was so much more over the top.
In the NHL,
like,
it's extremely rare for your 2 star players to have drama.
But just even the way like it played out, it literally, you felt like you were watching like a reality TV show a lot of the time, where they were like, PD was really upset and couldn't play well while JT was there, and JT had to go on vacation. It just felt so weird.
Yeah.
So I do want to like go into next season optimistic about it. And another thing I feel like is we did have new guys come in, and it does sometimes take people time to gel. Like, we don't get it. Like, let's say, for example, just this, us as the core, air quotes, as a podcast. Imagine if all of a sudden we added an extra person, it would change the dynamic of like how it all goes, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
So imagine that in the term of a pro sport, but not only that, you're moving to a new city and a new, like, so much changes. So I do have the hope of like maybe everyone's just kind of like settling in, and there's a lot of change. Yeah.
Well, another one, so not to go down this path, because I swear we're going to turn to the positive side. The one that really gets me super nervous, and we obviously talked about him being a pillar, is Demko. So these are his last 5 seasons, right? As a full-time starter. 2021, his first time as a starter, lockout shortened season, or not lockout, COVID shortened season. 35 games, finished the season out for us, right? 2022, played 64 games, but he ended the season with a knee injury, and he was out for the rest of the season. We didn't make the playoffs. Doesn't matter. 2023, only played 32 games, groin injury. That's the season, if you don't remember, we had like the goaltending tandem from hell, right?
Yeah.
Who was it?
Delia Martin.
Yeah. 2024, last year, played 52 games, Vezina caliber, knee injury, didn't finish the season out when we needed him, right? This year, starts the season with a knee injury, 23 games, knee injury, back injury, knee injury. In the span of 4.5 months. I love Demko. I love him. But there's a compounding cycle of injuries on his body. And he's due for a contract extension next year. We just paid Lankinen $5 million a year. 4.5. I'm rounding up, sorry. But so the question is, what do we pay him? And if we do, is there a fear?
I would not pay him until this year's over. Next year's over. I don't think.
Gabe, you go first. Please.
Oh,
I don't think Demko or the Canucks are expecting anyone to talk about a contract right now. I believe strongly that he and them are just like, let's play out next year and see what happens. There's like, people are like, oh, trade him. Is best he gets you a 2nd round pick right now, which I'm like, I'd way rather just have him, because if he's still Vezina Demko, you're an idiot. If you trade him for a 2nd round pick, you look like the biggest dumbass in the world next year. So like, you know what I mean? Like, you have Lankinen, you have Demko, you can kind of play it a little bit if like, hey, he can only play half the year, that's fine. You have Lankinen. Like, you have a legit like potential Allmark Swayman duo. That's really good, because as we know now, Demko is just straight up injury prone. There's no way around that. Like, just his career is going to be known as injury prone. Even if he goes 2 years straight healthy, he's still injury prone.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no. Dax just
he'd have to play
it,
another like 4 or 5 years not injured.
Exactly. Dax just labeled it as like, until that happens, like 3 straight seasons of not getting hurt, like you're just injury prone.
It makes complete sense why both sides are waiting. Like, you don't do anything this summer. You have to prove it as Demko, and you can't take the risk as management.
Yeah, Demko's going to get less than he technically deserves, and we're also way too scared to pay anything with terms. So, like, it's just like let's just see what happens next year situation. If he goes to free agency, he'll be fine. He'll get someone will sign him.
It's crazy hearing you say it that way. I've never heard. I knew Demko had injuries, but I think it's because of like, I guess, my love for Demko, because I think we all love Demko.
I love Demko.
He's such an ace when he's a stud when he's playing well. But to hear it stack up the way you just put it there, any others, if it's not just my Canucks fandom, I just call that dude a Band-Aid and don't want him on my team, to be honest. And it's not out of how good Demko is. It's, if you're that constantly injured, I view you as kind of irrelevant when you're building like a legit roster, because like you want your roster ideally to be guys when you look at them like, okay, this guy's going to be here, right? If you have a guy that's a Band-Aid, it's a question mark on that position. So you all of a sudden have to like compensate for it. And to have Demko be such a key figure and a Band-Aid, I just don't know if it's worth our time to worry about it. And that being said, I don't disagree with you said, like, because of where we are, you shouldn't trade him away. You should give him this chance with all that. But just hearing that injury stack and then my view of how kind of like sports go, like I'll go out of it. What I'm referring to is Daniel Sturridge. He played for Liverpool. The dude basically, if he played, scored, but he could only play like 17, 20 games a season. You get you 15 goals. Yeah. But it was such an unreliable person to have. And so just with that, I feel like it's kind of maybe best we figure out our best way to move on from Demko. Even if he got fit enough to be like, oh, he's playing good, I'd rather retrade him.
Trade him.
Yeah.
Part of me is optimistic that maybe he's just a 40-game goalie, you know? And like Connor said, maybe we just do tandem, right? But then that would also have to be him meeting us halfway and going, I acknowledge I'm a tandem goalie, so I'm going to get paid like a tandem goalie, right? And a lot of it is kind of just putting it on him to go, hey, like, we're going to help you succeed, but you also have to meet us halfway with the money that you're going to expect from us.
But in that case, like, what's wrong with, like, what he's at now? 5?
I would pay the 5.
Yeah.
If it's $5 million, I would pay the 5.
If you're Demko, say Canucks give him 5x4, why wouldn't he take it? Like, on free agency, he's maybe going to get an extra year, but he's not going to get anything more than that, really. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's kind of in that, like, everyone knows the situation. There's no...
So if he gets a 40, you say he's going to play 41 games. So
let's just say 41.
Oh, you don't want to be smart? Player bonuses for play games.
Yeah, you could orchestrate it.
But if he's going to play 41 games, can he even guarantee his 41 games? I don't think he can. Can he?
I mean, no. But
it's a roll in the die.
Then you go on injury reserve.
Mill bonus for 40 games, mill bonus for 30 games.
Yeah, I don't know. I genuinely love Demko. Like, I even like the way he plays. So when you watch him, it's fun to watch him play. It's just like, it's tough to, especially as, like, I don't know. There's being good enough. There's the elite status of being good enough to play in the NHL. There's the elite status of being the best in the NHL. And then there's a thing that's above that is, can your body handle being at that elite status? Be able to do it's one thing, to be able to do it and your body handles it is another thing. And maybe Demko, sadly, his body isn't on that level. Yeah. Another one, I'll just give another Canucks example, Cody Hodgson. Clearly was good enough to play, but his body just sadly, very sad reasons, but wasn't able to.
Also, his dad was a dick. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah, but I mean, his back and everything shut down, and like, there's nothing you can do about that. That's like genetics.
Yeah. Just give me one positive thing, because we, I think, spent 45 minutes being really, really realistic.
I was optimistic once or twice.
Yeah. It was good though. It was good. I think this is good. It's therapeutic.
Yeah, just give us one thing. One thing about this Canucks season that went right, not including Quinn Hughes.
Okay.
You can't. Quinn Hughes is too easy.
I'm cherry picking Sherwood.
Okay, you go first, Gabe.
You go first.
Yeah, Sherwood is just a nice player to have on our team, and he brought a lot of joy, especially to you, Dax. Broke the NHL record in hits, and just complimented a lot of our players well, and lifted us for a lot of the early season.
I'm gonna go the defense as a whole, which is kind of, I think, a surprising one because we've been ragging on Canucks defense for like a half a decade. And this year, it was probably one of the only uplifting things outside of Lankinen for the first half. Like, it was obviously Hughes leads the way, but like Hronek was good, Myers was solid, Marcus Pettersson fit in great, Forbort, DPD, like
Myers was sweet.
You know what I mean? Sweet. But like the defense, it actually was like probably one of the few uplifting parts of the season. Like, you know, offense was the black hole, as we've acknowledged over and over. So
I honestly really, I know it was like a regular average season, but Garland was such a breath of fresh air when we went through that whole stretch with PD and JT, because he did taper off to end the season, but if you guys remember, like
he
when the
went on a
whole
heater.
drama was happening, he was on a heater, and I was just
He
so
just had his kid too.
yeah, he just had his kid.
He just had his kid.
So I was super stoked for him, and the fact that like our fan base has always really liked them, but that people got to see if the perfect situation ever happened, he could be a guy.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, cool. It's nice to see him get some power play time and stuff for once, because
Yeah.
he's always one of those guys too. It's like 5-on-5. He does produce, but he just never gets any power play time. So you wonder if there's more there.
Okay, fine. I actually was gonna say Garland too, and I forgot, and then you said it. So I'm gonna I know this sounds weak because what I just said, but I actually do strongly believe the Canucks intro for the ice this season at games was really sweet. And I know that sounds tacky, but like it was really good this year. If did you guys go to any games?
I saw
it was a good one. If you saw last year's, it was the superheroes.
Yeah.
I really like last.
I thought last year's was really like bad, but comically bad because they were like
cringe.
Yeah, it was like cringy.
I thought I liked it.
I know.
I thought this year's was cringe too. I thought that was the whole point almost.
No, I thought that this year's was better than last year's. So that's my positive was the fans are getting, or the stadium's getting better.
You've become a dad, Derek.
All right, well, that wraps up the Canucks season review. Join us for part 3 for Over Under.